These 10 things Valve does need to change in 2018. My name is Braden, and welcome to Valve Guides. Wow, it's 2018. Thank you guys so much for staying around because, man, we've been doing this a while now. A special thanks to Cody for researching the information for this script. And also, guys, I'm going to be trying a new style, kind of just off the top of my head style of video where I'm going to be reading bullet points that we've researched, but it's going to be a more honest representation of how I speak, I guess. This isn't fully scripted anymore. Thank you to CSGO Empire for sponsoring this video. Make sure to follow their Twitter because they're doing a crap ton of giveaways on there, and make sure to use the code GUIDES on the site to get 50 cents for free and start playing. With 2018 beginning, I figured it would be appropriate to go over 10 things that Valve needs to change this year in CSGO, so let's go ahead and jump right into it, starting with Skyboxes. Skyboxes. Basically, if you don't know what a skybox is, it's the invisible wall that covers up the top of the map so that it's not endlessly just going up in the air. So if you throw a grenade straight up in the air in some places, it would touch the skybox and it would bounce back even though there's no textures there to show that it would be touching anything. Basically, what problems this can bring up is if there are certain nades that you want to throw, a skybox might theoretically block your nade, basically render it useless, and you've just given the enemy team your position and you're screwed. This especially makes being an in-game leader much more difficult if you're trying to teach your players smokes, because you really just don't have as many options. So maybe raising the skybox in several areas in different maps could open up new nade opportunities. Obviously there needs to be some balance in some places, so it's an interesting discussion to have. SMGs, it's always going to be a big topic within the CSGO community, running and gunning. Obviously with an SMG, you want to be able to run and gun more so than you would with a rifle, but there's a lot of debate right now that the run and gun accuracy is too high still. And I think we can agree that being able to buy a Mac 10 on round 2 and run and mow down an entire enemy with one mag might be a bit too much. In games like CSGO, running accuracy should be heavily punished. It's very tough to figure out what's too accurate and what's too inaccurate for SMGs, because obviously we want them to be more accurate than rifles while running. But I think we can agree right now that SMGs are a bit too accurate while running. I think Valve should tinker with this a bit more. The Overwatch system. I remember when I first started playing CSGO wanting to do Overwatch and get those cheaters banned, you know? Looking back now, I realize as a Gold Nova, I don't think I should have been given the power to determine whether or not a player should be banned for cheating. I think at that level in Silver Gold Nova, while there are a lot of cheaters in this game, and that's something we're going to address later, often there's going to be a lot of instances where people are going to mistake a Smurf for a cheater. Smurf is somebody who is a higher rank in the game but got a new account to play in lower ranked levels. And a lot of new players are going to instantly assume that Smurfs are cheaters because of their crosshair placement looks fishy to them because they're not used to seeing people that good. Bots. Bots is a subject that basically is going to suck regardless. The fact that you have to have a bot on your team sometimes is not fun, no matter the case.
If, God forbid, they get hold of the bomb, they immediately rush towards the site.
But right now, bots are really bad. There are several instances where bots have gotten teammates killed and just done really stupid things for their team. I think there's a pretty simple fix for this. If you got a toxic player or a thrower or somebody on your team and you end up kicking them and you get stuck with a bot, I think most people can agree that just simple but very polished commands for bots would be the best route to go. Bots are too good to go for frags because basically bots have to pretend to not know where everyone is because they're not AI and they technically would know where all the enemies are. So they kind of have to play dumb, and that doesn't really work out well. So they got to be really bad. And I think a simple improvement is to just make simple orders for bots, like move to this location specifically, maybe make them drop their guns, stay exactly where they are, just basic things rather than trying to make the bots kill people. Country preferences. This isn't much of a problem for me. I live in Texas. I don't think CSGO is a very popular game in Mexico, and I don't think my servers are anywhere close to Mexico because Texas is so big, but for people in Europe, this is a big problem. Getting paired with people that don't speak your language. Now, I'm not one to point out the obvious, except for the fact I am. I can get that queuing with people that don't speak your language is a huge hassle. So I think adding at least an optional country lock for players willing to tough out extra wait times is a simple option that is just good to be there. So if you're willing to wait longer to get paired with people that are definitely from your country and speak your language, I think that's an option that you really should have. Map rotations are kind of a mess in the pro scene right now, especially with Dust 2 and all the remakes that have been happening, and Nuke and Cobblestone, specifically Nuke, doesn't really get played basically at all just because it's not that great of a pro map. And then you got Dust 2 out of rotation, and it just messes with a lot of stuff. I think Valve really needs to stick with map rotations and wait for maps to become established before adding or removing different maps, because right now we're basically only seeing the same maps played over and over again because several maps just aren't very good competitively. And that really goes with the next point, which is sound cues. Specifically, I'm going to be focusing on the sound cue in Overpass with the train. Sound is obviously, I would say it's as important or almost as important as aim in CSGO. Maps like Overpass propose a huge issue. I think dynamic environments are cool, but it has its place in other games, just not CSGO. The train on Overpass has created issues in the past in the competitive pro scene.
But can it block grenades? Yes. Yes, it can, and I believe it holds no place in a game as competitive as CSGO.
I think this one's a little more consistent. If you throw a nade with the train sound cue happening, the enemy sometimes won't be able to hear your nade, and you can get smokes in place without the enemies knowing, and that's a really unfair advantage. The sound alone of the train can cover up nades, and the fact that the train exists on its own can screw up nades if you throw it and then the train comes out of nowhere and it's like, nope. CSGO's not a simulator, so stuff like this does not belong in there. It's entirely gameplay, mechanics, and strategy focused. While this seems like a small thing, it could potentially happen more and more if it's not addressed, and it just has no place in a game like CSGO. Anti-cheat. When a game is as large as CSGO is, which is freaking massive, might I add, CSGO is massive, anti-cheat has to be a top priority. Valve added the Prime matchmaking system to the game, which is essentially you pair your phone number with your account and it's locked. That phone number cannot be used for another account and it's only for yours. You can get paired with people that also have paired their accounts with their phone numbers. So the idea behind it is that cheaters aren't really going to go through the trouble of getting multiple different phone numbers to pair with different accounts, so that they're having to purchase something that has a phone number and another account. It's costing more and more money for hackers to get more and more accounts as their other ones get banned, and it's good for the most part. However, what ends up happening is the people that can't pair phone numbers with their accounts, or for some reason their account doesn't work with the phone number that it is paired with, they get stuck with everybody else, and everybody else means all the hackers, and it's really bad. If you're not in Prime matchmaking, then you're kind of screwed because every match basically has a cheater in it. At least that's what it feels like. It is awful. With a game like CSGO, again, mechanics, maps, and anti-cheat have to be the three main focuses. That's what makes the game essentially what it is. That comes before cosmetics, that comes before updating animations or graphics. Those three things should always come first, and anti-cheat really does need a heavier focus. While Valve has done several things to help with anti-cheat, we need to have continual and consistent improvements to catch up with the hackers. All the hackers, the hacks. Matchmaking and ranking. This is one of, again, the most debated topics in CSGO. I think a lot of these points are just highly debated, so I think this comment section might be a mess. But I remember when the original rank shift happened and everybody was shifted down several ranks. People still blame that. People still are stuck in silver and people are still stuck in gold from that. And it kind of sucks because it's not entirely their fault, but it is also partially the player's fault. What ends up happening is you just have this bubble of players that are all stuck in really low ranks. A lot of trolls, a lot of hackers, a lot of smurfs make it really difficult to get out of that bubble. So even if you're playing well several games in a row, let's say you even win several games in a row, it really does happen where you can lose one game and then derank after winning several in a row. It's too punishing for the low ranks. Honestly though, I don't know what can be done to fix this entirely, because there's always going to be the lowest rank. Like, there has to be a lowest rank, and there's always going to be players in the lowest rank, and it's always going to be harder to get out of the lowest rank than any other rank. So there may not necessarily be an entire fix for it, but there are definitely improvements to be made. Our final point, pistols. This is one of the most recurring issues, I think, throughout the entire history of CSGO. Pistols used to be ridiculously good, then they were nerfed into practically non-existence, and then they came back again, and people are saying they're too good again. My personal opinion is that at the end of the day, pistols in CSGO, based off of their price, should always grant a massive disadvantage to their user to anybody with a rifle or an SMG or a sniper or a shotgun. If you have a gun that is cheaper than your opponent's weapon and they worked harder to get that gun, it should give them an advantage over you because they got the money to get the better gun. What can happen is if you buy a P250 for $300 and you stand behind a door and you happen to get the first shot off and hit the enemy in the head, they've lost all the money they just spent on their rifle, their headgear, everything, because you bought a $300 pistol that granted you a very unfair advantage. I think with the Deagle and Tech 9, those should be two pistols that you might potentially buy outside of pistol round, but they should be a huge risk in themselves. The Deagle, while being really inaccurate and hard to use, should be a one hit in the head, and it's expensive. It's more expensive than the other pistols, and it's a big risk. At that point, you might just want to buy an SMG or something else. So I think the Deagle and the Tech 9 should be somewhat viable outside the pistol round, but other than that, with the P250 and other cheap pistols, not a huge fan. Hey guys, thank you so much for staying around. Let me know if you liked the new format of video where it's just off the top of my head after doing the initial research. I thought it was quite fun. It's a little more difficult in my opinion, but I can't really complain too much here. We're gonna go ahead and hop in with a $45 bet. I don't even want to talk about last game. We're just it's not no, but last time I did ask for you to put questions and comments below that I could. What the heck is going on? It's the same thing as last time. Do you see this crap? Okay, so Marius asks, is someone in production a Mouse Esports fan? If they are, they haven't told me. Do you see this? Do you see this? What is happening? Okay. Noah asks, how do you think 2018 will go? Very well. I think I have high hopes for 2018. It's gonna be a good year. Scamio Bish said, do a guide to convince your parents that CSGO is good for you. Actually, I think I might be able to do that because I've done it. That actually might be a really fun video to make. Bloody Knuckles says, I've been watching your videos since 14K. I've always loved the work and keep it up. Dude, 14K. I remember this. And honestly, if you've been there since then, I probably remember you if you commented. Just a Guy says, love you, Braden. We met on the Discord with my friend, if you remember us. Of course I do. Actually, I think the name Just a Guy is very memorable. So yeah, I do. And I'm not sure how many people actually know of the Discord because we haven't promoted it a whole bunch. But yeah, we have a Discord. If you want to hang out, I'll be there. It's pretty fun. Let's see where I'm gonna go 75 on CT. This is the last bet, and I'm not ready for this. Thank you to CSGO Empire for sponsoring the video. You see they have a New Year's giveaway, and I'm bad. I'm really bad. I'm gonna come back though. I'm gonna come back. You know what? Just to yeah. Make sure to follow CSGO Empire on Twitter for hecka giveaways. I'm done. Okay, I'm just gonna stop now. Cut me off. Cut off my supply.